Imagine two people making the same income, living in the same city, facing the same prices, yet 10 years later, their financial lives look completely different. Not because one made dramatically more money or had access to secret opportunities, but because of a single decision that seemed too small to matter at the time. A $1 choice repeated quietly, consistently, almost invisibly in daily life. This is not about dramatic financial moves or large investments. It begins at a much simpler level, where every spending decision subtly shapes direction rather than outcome, where $1 is not just a unit of currency, but a signal, a vote toward a pattern that compounds over time. When someone spends $1, they are not only losing that dollar, they are also giving up everything that dollar could have become if it had been redirected into a system that grows instead of disappears. At first, the difference feels irrelevant because $1 does not change your lifestyle, it does not reduce your comfort, and it certainly does not feel like a financial turning point. But the brain does not track long-term consequences well. It responds to immediate rewards, convenience, and emotional relief. This is where financial psychology begins to shape outcomes without being noticed, because small, repeated decisions feel harmless while silently building structure underneath your financial life. If that $1 is spent on something consumable, the cycle resets instantly. The money is gone, the value is temporary, and the process repeats the next day. If that same $1 is redirected into an asset, even a simple one, it enters a completely different system, one that is governed not by consumption but by accumulation and growth. The distinction is not emotional, it is mathematical, and mathematics does not respond to intention, it responds to repetition and time. To understand the scale of this, consider a simple scenario where one person spends an extra $10 a day on small conveniences, while another person redirects that same amount into an investment that grows at a modest rate over time. $10 does not feel significant. It feels like flexibility, like a reward for effort, like something that improves daily experience. But over a year, that becomes $3,650, and over a decade, that number becomes much larger, not only from the amount saved, but from the growth applied to it. The math becomes more interesting when compounding is introduced, because money that is invested begins to generate returns, and those returns begin to generate their own returns, creating layers of growth that do not require additional effort. This is where the system starts to diverge sharply, because the person who consistently redirects small amounts into growth is not just saving money, they are building a structure that expands over time, while the other person remains in a loop where income is continuously converted into short-lived value. What makes this difficult to notice is that both individuals feel financially similar in the short term. They can afford similar things, they experience similar lifestyles, and there is no immediate penalty for the $1 decision being made in the direction of consumption. The divergence is delayed, and because it is delayed, it is often ignored. This delay creates the illusion that small decisions do not matter, when in reality, they are the foundation of long-term outcomes.
From a behavioral perspective, humans tend to prioritize present comfort over future stability, not because they lack discipline, but because the brain discounts future rewards automatically. $1 today feels more real than a potentially larger amount in the future, even when the math clearly favors patience. This psychological bias creates a consistent leak in financial systems, where small amounts are repeatedly directed away from growth without triggering concern. When you zoom out to a systemic level, this pattern is not just individual, it is cultural. Many economic systems are designed to encourage consumption, offering convenience, instant gratification, and easy access to spending, while making investment feel complex or delayed. This creates an environment where the default behavior leads away from accumulation, not because people choose poorly, but because the system rewards immediate use over long-term allocation. Over time, the accumulation of these $1 decisions forms a financial identity. One person becomes someone who continuously converts income into temporary value, while the other becomes someone who gradually builds ownership of assets that can produce value independently. This identity is not declared. It is constructed through repetition, through small actions that align with a system rather than a moment. The most important shift is not the amount of money being redirected, it is the direction itself. Once a system is in place where even small amounts are consistently moved toward growth, the role of income changes. Instead of being fully consumed, income becomes a source of fuel for a larger structure. This structure, over time, begins to reduce dependence on active effort because it generates returns that are not directly tied to daily work. The $1 decision is powerful because it is scalable and repeatable. It does not require a high income, and it does not depend on timing or external conditions. It depends on consistency and awareness. While large financial moves attract attention, it is the small, almost invisible decisions that determine whether those larger opportunities can be sustained when they appear. In the end, the difference between financial stagnation and gradual growth is rarely defined by a single dramatic moment. It is defined by thousands of quiet decisions that seem too small to track, too insignificant to question, yet too consistent to ignore when viewed over time. The $1 choice is not about the dollar itself, it is about the system it feeds, and over time, that system becomes the environment in which your financial future develops. When viewed this way, money is no longer just something that is earned and spent, it becomes something that is directed. And direction, when applied consistently, has a way of shaping outcomes that feel disproportionate to the simplicity of the original decision.